talking to Rocco. He's signaling out Rocco. One of the toughest tasks for a coach is to get his team ready to play a team that is highly favored. I want our team to constantly play as if we got something to prove. A lot of teams know how to be successful, but very few can handle success. We're really never playing an opponent, and our players have to understand that. We're playing against ourselves. Never become too satisfied. Satisfaction leads to loss of hunger. We know that this is a team 2 years ago that beat us here at home. Last year we go down to FIU. It was a close game. We only won by 7. So we understand what's the task ahead of us. And we just, as a coaching staff, we got to get our players focused, get them prepared, and get them ready to go play a football game.
You watched the film. What did you take out of the game on Saturday? You had mentioned before the season that, the most important thing was just winning week in, week out. A lot of people expected that to be a blowout. It wasn't, but you won. That's the most important thing.
Well, I don't think we're ever in a position where we just can go blow teams out. And when you talk about a rival game, it's very tough in a rival game because now you're going to get their best shot. And now you're going on the road. So we're on the road, and we're playing against one of our biggest rivals, and we're 60 miles away. So I expected it was going to be a tough game. And I told our players that. I said, we're going to get their best shot, and we're going to get it at the beginning of the game. The thing we have to do is just make sure that we just play well. And you look at both sides of the ball defensively, on both sides of the ball dominated the game. Their defense played well, our defense played well. And then we were able to mount a drive there late in the second half, right in the second quarter, actually. And then the start of the second half, we were able to score the first 3 possessions.
How concerned are you about those next plays? Especially after Saturday with a few big plays.
On defense? I'm sorry, Sid. Just the defensive big plays? Well, you just can't give up big plays on defense. You look at the quarterback scramble, you look at 2 balls that are thrown up over our heads, and we just had to play tighter coverage. I feel like sometimes we play a lot of zone. We need to play some man coverage and let our corners just lock down their receivers. No, it's a different coaching staff and a different team from 2 years ago because, you look at 2 years ago, T.Y. Hilton was here, and now he's playing for the Indianapolis Colts. He caught those 2 big passes on us. But, I think about this also. We wouldn't beat Kentucky 2 years ago, then we came home and lost to Marshall. So it's where we can't let happen. We can't let that let down where we're coming back home now. We're going to have a great crowd here. Our fans did an unbelievable job following us to Lexington. Now we're coming back home, and we're going to have us a good crowd here.
So you talk about defense in the back. Talk about the growth of games in Holland, and both of those guys seemingly had 2 games the other day.
Well, you're looking at 2 talented players and the guys that have a lot of ability, and we expect them to play well. When we recruited them, they were highly recruited. So now that it's their turn, they've been in the program, 2 and 3 years, so you expect them to go play.
With Gaines, though, he bounced back and forth, receiver and cornerback. What is it about him on that side of the ball that makes him so good?
Well, he's an athlete. It's because he can play wide receiver, DB, and that's what you like with a guy who has athletic ability and has the skill because he can run and he can cover.
When you go back and look at the film, what was the difference in getting the running game going? It seemed like when Dominique got, that last drive of the second quarter, that's when you got to go and Dominique seemed to, with the line, were they doing something different on that drive? Was it?
No, what they did a great job of bringing pressure and just locating the pressure and where it was coming from. So once we were able to locate the pressure, then we would run away from the pressure. Now we were still in the backside. Now the lane was opened up to us to the front side. And Dominique did a great job of just coming in and just running behind his pads and just getting the yardage that we needed. Because even up to that point, you think about it, we getting hit at the line of scrimmage or we was losing yards. But then once we got the running game going, then we were able to get balance on offense because you just can't always count on Teddy just dropping back, throwing that football, and you're going to get the yardage through the air. But we were able to get that done. We need to be physical at the point of contact, and our backs need to run hard. Sometimes the linemen, like I say all the time, they're not going to always block everyone. So sometimes you got to run through a defender, and you see that happen all the time. Instead of just going, they can't go down on first initial contact. It has to be some runs after the hit.
How surprising was that to see Sonoris run the way they did, especially the big run?
Well, you like that from Sonoris because he's just coming off of that knee injury, and then you wanted to see if he could get that speed back. Then when you were able to race down the sideline there, and they weren't able to catch him, it just shows you now that he's getting back. And I figured it would take some games for him to get back to himself, and I think just the more games we're going to see Sonoris really become the player that we saw some last season.
How did you like Keith Brown?
Well, Keith played very few snaps, but Keith, we know this. He's a good player, so he came in, he did everything we asked him to do.
Will he gradually kind of work back into it, or do you think he'll pick up full load this week?
No, he's going to gradually work back into it because we have the starter, so he's going to play the role he's played.
Have you guys kind of figured out the order of the running backs? I know two starts, but which guy you want in which situation?
Well, with the order you go on first and second down, you're going to see Sonoris and Dyer on first and second, and then on third down you get Dominique. So, but they also rotate in. If you get a back and he makes a long run, then the next back is going to run in. But if you look at us rushing the ball, we're at close over 200 yards rushing. So you have Sonoris with 100, Dyer right around 60, and then Dominique right around 45. And I think the touches were 12, 11, and 11. I think were the touches. So, you're getting a three-headed monster there, and the guys are being able to go run the football.
What's your take on their strengths? How do they complement each other? It seems like each one has a unique.
Well, you look at Sonoris, he's an outside runner, and he has speed, so he's going to try to outrun you. Whereas Dyer's one guy that can pound you, and he's so, he can get behind his pass because he's so low, and he can just run through defenders. And then Dominique is him and Dyer kind of run the same because they're both power runners. But the thing that Dyer has over Dominique is he can bust, he can run when he get out in open field.
Talk about handling success. How is this team handling success? Your message this week.
Well, it's always about respecting the game, and like I said, we're always playing against ourselves and not the opponent. So you guys got to understand, even if we're in the position we're in, we want to get better, and we have to get better. We're nowhere near where we should be. We can just pull up the tape and we can look at it. And guys, they look at it and they want to get better.
Because of what happened with Marshall 2 years ago, how concerned are you with fake juice?
Well, I think we're a different team now. It's just a much more mature team because now, those guys that were with Marshall, they were freshmen then, so now they done gradually moved up closer to the front of this room. So not so much we're so concerned about the fake juice because I think that now with the veteran team that we have, they're going to come out, they're going to compete and go play well.
What do you see now that you didn't see 2 years ago? Maturity.
Well, you just see now that the team is being taken over by the players. And 2 years ago, I couldn't have said that because I just didn't know where the leadership was coming from. But now you have some really strong leaders on this football team, from Preston Brown to Brandon Dunn to Roy Philon to Akeem to Pryor to Teddy. So you have some guys now that really can take the team. Even you think about we're on the road on Saturday up in Lexington, and we weren't playing well on offense, but never did we flinch. No one said one word. Defense and say, hey, go pick it up, and nobody said nothing. Say, hey, defensively we'll play well till our offense get going. Our offense is eventually going to get going. So when they get going, then we know this. We got to continue to play at the level we're playing at. So usually, sometimes when you get in a situation like that, guys start, bickering back and forth. But no one said anything. Say, hey guys, just play. You don't worry about what happens on the offense side of the ball. Defensively, don't worry about what happens on defense. We have a job to do. Let's go win the football game. We're a team, so we'll win it as a team.
Bill, and you see Teddy take off and then do those, go down like that. I mean, what's the first thing that jumps out to you? His technique.
Oh, that's a bad slide technique, you say? No. When he takes off, a lot of times he's smart enough to get down. I don't think he's going to allow anybody to take a hit because, number one, he's not going to try to run over anyone. He's smart enough to do that. But the whole thing is make sure he gets protected, whether he run out of bounds or slide, just get down. And we don't need to see you try to see how strong you are. Just get on the ground.
But I mean, in terms of teaching him how to slide so he can put his body.
I think he knows how. I think a lot of that he does is, the one time he kind of just dove out there, and then another time, he kind of just, tried to slide with his feet out in front of him or whatever. But he knows how to do that.
So do you break the season down? I mean, this is your last non-conference game. Do you break it down and say, segments like that? And are you where you want to be out of this one?
Well, you look at it, we're going in phase one because we have, then we go an open date, and then we get into phase two. Then when you look at phase two, it's where your conference is going to start because you're going to go Temple, Rutgers, Central Florida, South Florida. So now it's a whole different mindset. With now we're getting in a conference game, we're games that count. But you do have to break the season down because what is really good is you get those open dates. So the open dates kind of break it down for us because, you know, you go forward and you get an open date, then you go play some more, you get an open date. So the season is broken down, and that's what you try to tell the players. Listen, hey, the first part of the season is about ready to end, and you think about it, here we're 4 games into it already. And it goes by, there's so many opportunities, and it goes by very quickly.
Have you gotten out of it? I mean, you're undefeated, obviously. You're still ranked 7th in the country. I mean, it's
Well, you can say this. We can play better, and we can play much better. We can improve on offense. You can improve on defense, and you for sure can improve in the kicking game. But key players need to step up. You know, some of the players that can play much better than what we're playing. You know, sometimes you get caught up so much in how Teddy's playing, we forget about there's some more players around him. Like Devontae is an outstanding player. Then Cope is an outstanding player. Then on the defensive side of the ball, we have some good players, but we can improve and we can get much better. Saturday, if you look at the first half of the Saturday game, offensive line-wise, we weren't blocking well, and we weren't running the ball well. And then in the second half with defensively, we gave up some big throws in the secondary. So there's always room for improvement.
Devontae had that big touchdown catch, but after the game, he didn't seem pleased with his own performance. Was there things that you saw he could improve on?
Well, he could improve. I mean, we throw a ball, a corner route to him, and he goes underneath it. If he goes outside, it's another touchdown. But guys, they know that now. And what's great, what's happening within the program now is when they don't play well, the players know that they didn't play well themselves. So they come out there feeling a little different, which they should.
Charlie, as a defensive coach, how do you respond to Alabama giving up 42 points, Ohio State giving up 30 points? It seems like the game is tilted very much to the offense.
Well, it's not so. I don't know if it's tilted to the offense, but I just think that defensively, you just got to be able to just slow down those offenses. Because if you look at Texas A&M, they're just so wide open, and what happens with offenses now is it's always about matchup now. If you think about it, because we're going to do the same thing. If we look out there and somebody's trying to press Devontae, the ball's going to go up in the air. And we're going to try to go get us a one-on-one with Devontae Parker one-on-one on someone. But that's the way the game is now because they spread out defenses and they're not allowing you to load the box. So if you can load the box, you're going to be able to stop the run. And now with them spreading you out, the quarterback, if the quarterback is a runner like the Alabama face with Manziel, and they know he can get out of trouble, and then the thing you do once you pressure him, then if you don't get there with the pressure, then he lets that ball go. Then you kind of hold on to it. You hold your breath and oh God, where's it going to go? And then that you see what happened to him. He got scrambled around a couple of times and let that ball go. But it's a matchup game now, and if you have skill. And we have good skill. We can match up with our skill where you can go Cope outside, you go Eli Clark inside, then you can go Devontae on the backside. And Gerald Christian, he creates a matchup. You look at the big catch that he had down the middle because now you're trying to get a linebacker on a skill tight end.
Has your philosophy, defensive philosophy, evolved over the last few years as you see more of the fast-paced offense and matchup thing you speak about?
Yeah, because what you try to do on defense now is when teams give you the skill, now you got to match skill with skill. So the defensive backs is what's becoming critical now because you got to have guys that can cover. And so now when we matched up on Saturday against Kentucky because they gave us what we call 11 personnel, 3 wide receivers and 1 tight end. So now you had to put a nickel back out. So now you can match up with the wide receiver in the slot position because if you're taking an outside linebacker out there, it's a mismatch because they're going to find that outside linebacker and they're going to try to get the ball and get him exposed in open space. So you have to, and it's what it is. So whenever we play someone, just say like 12 personnel is considered 1 back, 2 tight ends. Now we want base people in the game because we want big people in because they have big people in. But when they go small, we have to go small. We have to go counter it with defensive backs.
Is it possible to get the same quality of athlete on defense as on offense? Because the appeal of playing offense to players.
Well, what you try to find out when you're recruiting is that like Gaines is a good example. Can he play wide receiver and can he play defensive back? And that's what you try to find a player that can play both sides. And a lot of times you try to find a quarterback, because a lot of times in high school, the best player on the team is at quarterback. So you try to take him and say, if he isn't a quarterback, what is he? Is he a wide receiver or is he a DB? He's a skill guy, but somewhere you got to be able to place him. And now with all the matchups, you got to be able to, if he's good enough, put him at wide receiver and give defenses headaches where you can throw the ball out there to him. But you have to be able to cover people, and it is. What's tough defensively now is when you face a good team, and now how are we going to match up with this team? What are we going to do? And then add to it is when they can get up on the ball, they can run play after play after play so quickly, because they're going to wear you down eventually. So you get those skill guys, they keep running them, then you're going to have to be able to match them. And then then a lot of your skill guys are matched up in the kicking game, so now they're running down in the kicking game. Now they got to come back and cover. So it's like, wow. I mean, where are you going in the kicking game, or do you want it on defense? But the offensive coaches are smart enough now. They playing the whole field, and they're making you defend the whole field, and which is smart.
I was heard about defensive players wearing down being on the field side. Don't offensive players get tired too?
Yeah, but I think that what happened with the offensive players is that if you think about it, just like on Saturday, you can see them rotate guys in with wide receivers, but you can't rotate your defensive backs in. Now you get tired. Now if the lineman can just hold up, if the ball is out, then the ball is out, because what the offenses are doing, they're taking the ball, going 3 steps and releasing it. So the linemen, they're not getting wore down as much, but the defensive lineman is, because he's trying to rush up the field. But the offensive lineman, he's just kind of sitting back, just making sure the guy doesn't, he doesn't release him to the quarterback. But the skill guys, it's the DBs that are getting wore down, because you think about on offense, you can run guys out and you can get fresh guys in the game, but defensively, you dare not go take some DBs and run them in and out.
How do you kind of evaluate this new conference, just from what you've seen for the first 3 weeks? Any of the teams that are new to the conference that impressed you or surprised or anything?
Well, Central Florida going to beat Penn State was a good win for this conference, and Rutgers is always going to play well. But you look at this conference, South Florida right now, they're struggling, but still, though, it's really some good teams still in it. Cincinnati, even though they lost their quarterback, ended up playing well this week. So, the conference is going to be fine, and we just need to continue to play well. We haven't gotten to the conference matchups yet, so we'll be in it here in a couple of weeks or so.
I know rankings might not mean that much to you, but you are very high right now in some of these defensive categories. How much pride does that give you?
Well, it's not so much me. It's our defensive player, our defensive staff, and our players, because we haven't played like really, really great defense here yet. And we always talk about we had to play great defense. You look at that right there, playing to win, you got to go play great defense. And we said all the time, and we did Saturday. We were able to play great defense early until our offense got going. But you had to be able to stop people, and it just goes back what we talked about a while ago. Because if you allow offense to just go up and down the field, you can never get them to punt. We were 0 for 13 on third down, which is really critical. Now you make them punt the ball, especially when you're playing an offense that is a fast pace and they're going to get up on the ball very quickly. What hurts them is the 3 and outs, and that's what they don't want to see.
Is this what Vance was talking about before the season, bringing more pressure this year and really trying to set the tone?
Oh, we've been bringing some pressure. I think the game before this, Eastern Kentucky, we blitzed. I think we played like 60 snaps. We probably blitzed 40 of the 60, which is good. I mean, you had to pressure and you had to disrupt rhythm, and that's the only way you can stop offense. And now you have to be able to cover. If you're going to do it, you better have some guys that can cover too.
The front guys also, it seemed like they played well the other day. There wasn't a ton of tackles, but they were in the backfield. They were doing some stuff. And DuBose even kind of gave you some minutes there.
What's happening with the front is you got to be able to rush the passer. So with Malden and Marcus Smith, you have 2 guys outside. Then you can bring in Mount and DuBose who can rush it. Now the critical position for us right now is in the middle, because you had to get a push in the middle. You had to keep the quarterback in the pocket. When he scrambled out there the other day, was in a 3-man rush. One end got up the field, and he was able to find the crease. So when he hit the crease, that's when he got down the boundary. But you always, those 2 guys in the middle, just keep the quarterback inside. Just keep them in front of you and let the guys pressure them from the outside and see if we can beat their tackles.
Several of your guys refer to third down as money down. I guess is that a term you guys use, and then how important is that third down, getting off the field in the whole scheme of playing?
Well, it's the money down. So what's critical is just getting off the field and not giving them another possession or giving them another chance to go move the ball to get a first down. But you have to get off the field. And offensively, I want to say we were 54%, which is really good. The week before that, we were right around 88%. So we're converting those third downs. But you need to get off the field because now we don't want those drives to continue. We have to get off the field so that we can force people to punt the ball and get the ball back for our offense. We get the ball back for our offense, we know we have a chance to go score.
What is Lorenzo showing you every game in there that Saturday seems to be even more intense than today's game?
Lozo, and I say this, the way he practices, the way he plays, and it's like if you come and watch us practice, that's how hard he goes. He goes hard like that all the time, and he's fun to watch because you tell our players all the time, just go like Lorenzo goes, and he just goes hard all the time. You know, guys don't like to do a lot of drills against him because he's going to go full speed, and they're wanting him to go half speed, and he won't go half speed. But even Saturday, he had 2 tackles for a loss, 2 sacks, 1 other sack. He probably would have, if he had stayed on the ground, he would have went through a bubble out there, and he kind of jumped, and the quarterback kind of froze and threw the ball out there. But he just plays so hard, but he loves to play. He's so passionate about the game.
Is he playing kind of within control like you like to see? I mean, even with all that intensity, is he playing under control?
Well, what you have to be careful with him, you know it's going to happen sometimes. He will come under, he will jump a block sometimes, but you have to live with it. But you just tell a linebacker, you know what, sometimes if I'm playing behind him, I'm going to see where he goes so I can just replace his gap. But he's a guy, like we go there, this 3rd and 1, he hits a guy for about a 3 or 4 yard loss where he comes underneath the tackle and beats him across his face. But sometimes he's not always where he should be, but you can see he's going to make a play or he's going to force someone else to go make the play for him.
Charlie, when the player's goal is to go 12-0, what is the value of having that first half against UK to show what can happen?
Well, I don't know if our goals, we have goals. I don't think I've ever told them we want to go 12-0 now. But I think that's what everyone else thinks we're going to go because of our schedule. But it's all about this each game. That's all it's about. Just each game, you go on and play each game. The first half of the Kentucky just showed the resiliency of this team, and like I said, it's one of those where if one phase isn't playing good, then the other phase step up. But sometimes we have to be cautious too that we're not going to take the ball every time and go take it and go score. When you play against